Welcome to our video series for the Sandship. It's the 5th dungeon in Skyward Sword, and I have to say, Hick actually played this game quite a bit before I did.
Quite a while.
And he kept saying, I was like, oh, these are awesome dungeons, and Hick is like, just wait till you get to the 5th dungeon. Wait till you get to the 5th dungeon. And all I have to say is, he was absolutely right.
I mean, I just love the whole build-up before the Sandship even. Like everything you go out and do in the desert, and then like the sea right there, how the sand sea becomes the ocean, and like the visuals, underneath the water, just everything about the build-up in the whole desert I loved. And then we got to this dungeon, it looked awesome, and it just delivered.
And even like, just
drop the mic, walk away.
I mean, obviously, if you check out our Skyward Sword dungeon ranking video, this was easy pick as number 1 for us. Not to pimp our own videos there, but
well, I remember I was talking to you about it. Like, I mean, you're like, "Oh man, I love the cistern," and I did too. I was just like, "Just wait till the next dungeon." I mean, I don't know, just the whole concept. We never had been on a ship in any
I love that.
Zelda game. Yeah, so that was completely new.
It was.
And then like, I kind of feel like this part, like the Sandship, it feels like you're really far outside the game. And this area, like you feel like you're just way out there for some reason.
Out in the sand sea or whatever they call it.
I guess there's a lot of desert dungeons that feel like that. An example, Spirit Temple.
Of course.
And then the theme just went perfect with this place.
You know what? It's crazy though. You mentioned we'd never really been on a ship for a dungeon. You would think like in Wind Waker.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah,
like maybe the pirate ship becomes a dungeon.
You had like the ghost ship or whatever it was, where you got a piece of the Triforce. So I guess not really. I guess it's not even really a mini dungeon, but it's sort of similar. But
man, just throwing this thing out here in the middle of the desert.
Yes.
And when we bring it to life a little here in a couple parts, and it brings the water around it to life, it looks fantastic, and it's such. And this is a recurring theme in this game. It's just such a contrast from the rest of the desert area around it, and it just looks beautiful.
Yeah. Now, me and Red, we've talked about we're not the best artists. Now, I thought I actually did okay right there. You're supposed to get fairies if you draw a Triforce. I thought I had
was a pretty good Triforce.
I thought I had it, man.
I thought you had that too. And
apparently our drawing skills do not translate either to video games.
Well, all I know is I can barely aim with the motion controls, much less draw something.
It's hard. It is tough. It is tough.
Well, I totally forgot until later on that you can draw like an arrow and get arrows.
Yes, which I actually use. I think it's in part 2. I think it's in part 2 where I'm up on the bow and or up at the top of the very ship. I have one arrow. I'm like, crap, I gotta drill this one.
Yeah, I just totally forgot that you could even do that, and I probably wouldn't be able to draw an arrow anyway.
But I love like the whole concept, really just a desert overall, like how in both desert dungeons we have this whole past and present thing where actually the past is futuristic. I love how they use it again in this dungeon.
I do too. It's just you never think that in the present this place would be like so run down and rickety looking. I mean, the walls are all gray, like the paint, or not gray, but brown, like the paint's faded and stuff like that. And when we hit the when we go back in time, the time crystal or the
ship looks beautiful.
Oh,
we go back in time.
All the walls are painted.
And I love how it lights up the sea or the ocean around you.
We'll definitely get to that here in a little bit.
Man, these things are annoying, though.
Well, it cracked me up, like, as soon as I walked into this room the first time, all I could think of was when you get swarmed by those stupid little beetles in Arbiter's Ground.
Oh, yeah, those are rats, aren't they?
Rats, whatever they are. And they slow you down and
everything.
They do. At least those guys don't.
I don't think you have to kill those right there, but my OCD that Red usually has kicked in right there, and I guess I was like, gotta go nuts on these guys.
Yeah. For some reason, I just had a flashback to that Arbiter's Ground.
Now, here's something I don't understand right here. Like, she says the door is sealed, and it's very important. We have passed probably 5 or 6 sealed doors already. Why all of a sudden does she tell us that this one's important? Which it is.
Yeah.
But I want to know why she didn't tell us any of the others were important.
That's once again Fee raising her...
Now, I don't hate her as much as you do, but she does get kind of annoying.
Anytime she comes out of that sword, I'm just like, get back in there.
Hit mute, don't read.
Mute. Hey.
Now, that's my problem, is I read and I don't read, if that makes sense. I read and just don't pay any attention to what she says.
I try to ignore her best I can, but you're right, though. Like, she does a big deal of pointing out that door, and obviously it's the door we're eventually going to stick the...
Yeah, it is important, but like I said, we've passed like 5 or 6 of them that are sealed.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned this kind of goes along with what you mentioned about a little bit of a throwback to the Lana mining facility. I like how they made you use that weapon.
Yeah, they bring back a weapon from a past dungeon, which we're always big fans of.
Definitely. Using the gut, and especially a weapon like the Gust Bellow that doesn't seem to have a lot of uses.
No, not really.
Like, bringing it back again in like its... The second half of the
predecessor, really.
Yeah. I thought it was a good touch. And
I love just the whole ship wheel right here that shows the directions of what you're supposed to do on the door. I just love that little puzzle right there.
And it's actually really similar to the puzzle we had in the Ancient Cistern. where we had to hit the thing in the same direction.
Where I just completely guessed the first time I played through it. I was like, I'm just going to start swinging like crazy.
But it's cool, like you use the bellows to expose the direction you have to hit. And I probably screwed up with the motion controls 3 or 4 times trying to hit the right direction.
This one's a little bit, the one Ancient Cistern I think is actually harder because this one, I think you might go up and down 3 times, which is a lot easier.
You're right.
Well, no, what happens is if you swing up too hard, if you're hitting the down one, you swing up too hard, you can hit him, double hit him.
Yeah.
That's what causes you to screw up.
Yeah. Well, I thought you nailed that pretty darn good.
Yeah, about time.
A lot better than I did.
Every once in a while we get them.
Like I said, the motion controls I struggled with a little bit. As well implemented as they were, I definitely had my fits with them.
Now, who puts a big treasure chest in a big room like this and then just throws a key in it?
I know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Usually you would think you would need a key to get into the room with the big treasure chest.
Yeah, they have some... Now here's the thing, like that lock does not make sense in this time period of the dungeon.
No.
Now if that was in the futuristic / past, oh man,
that's weird.
Oh yeah, that was a tough one. But yeah, that would make sense, but right there it just really didn't make sense.
It didn't. Like,
good point.
It looks like it belongs in the future. Like the colors and everything match what happens when you bring all this to life. So you're exactly right. It was a weird fit.
And I've really never been on a ship. I guess I've been on a cruise ship. But like it actually feels like we're going through a ship right now. Just like with the different levels. And you can tell that even though it's kind of wide, it's still narrow. Yeah. I mean, it really does feel like we're on a ship right now.
It's not like the biggest dungeon at all. I mean,
no, it's not.
We spend a lot of time going back and forth to the same areas, especially once we bring the ship to
life.
Yeah. It's just I thought it was pretty well laid out. Like you're in a big block. You're in a ship. It makes sense. Plus little touches like these lamps on the walls. Like every bit of the wall is like boards.
I do love those lamps. Yeah, I do love those lamps.
It's just obviously you're in a ship.
I didn't even notice them until you just pointed it out right there.
Yeah, but it just makes it adds to the atmosphere of being on a ship, and like even the trim around the doors and things like that.
Yeah, that does look good. I mean, yeah, it looks like something that would be on a pirate ship.
Exactly.
Or just a regular ship, I guess.
Speaking of things that would be on a pirate ship, here's a pirate.
yeah, and we also have the bow right here.
Yeah.
And Red and I would agree that this, I think it's probably one of my favorite mini boss fights in any Zelda game.
I agree with that. Totally. He's just fighting him on the very tip of this ship.
Yeah,
it looks spectacular to begin with. Great view
and then how you run both towards each other. You don't have hardly any room to fight. I mean, and you got this whole sand desert area in the background. It's just awesome.
And I like the way you have to just knock him all the way back. Because every time he hits
it's
you,
a cool concept.
It is. And I think he looks pretty awesome. He's got the hat, the cape flowing, the hook hand, and everything.
I love the cinematic when we walk out. It's just him standing there, like looking out over the sand sea, and like his cape is blowing. I mean, that's just awesome right there.
And then he charges you down.
And I would just love to sit down and have a cigar and a beer into that bow. I mean, that'd be a perfect place to do it.
Especially once we bring the sea back to life.
Now, that's a pretty big... That's called a bow, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty large bow, though, isn't it?
It is.
They usually don't stick out that far, but...
No. It looks like a plank almost, honestly.
I mean, that's a cool ship. I would love to ride on that ship with a bow that big.
Oh, man, I'd just sit right there on the nose.
Oh, I know. Like I said, cigar in one hand, a beer in the other, and... I wouldn't be much of a captain.
No.
I would just be sitting there doing that the whole time.
Go that way. Go that way.
Although if you're just looking at the sea now, you got kind of a good background.
Yeah.
You got to think, most ships, you're in the water, and all you see is water.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're out there for like 2 hours, you're like, same thing.
Yeah.
Nothing's changing.
Hopefully you're not dodging icebergs. Or
no. Well, yeah, exactly, I guess.
This depends on where you're captaining your boat. But like we said, it was one of our favorite mini boss fights in all of Zelda.
Love it. And I love like how the ending, how he just falls off right there.
Yep.
He goes crashing into the sand.
Hey, Fee, there's a 99% chance that was the pirate. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the hook or the hat or the sword that gave it away.
Well, that guy is called... crap, I forgot his name.
Oh, I couldn't.
It's like Sceribo, I think. Cervo or something like that. But like,
cool.
Apparently Skipper used to be the captain of this
boat.
Right.
And the pirate took over,
that pirate took over,
Because now we have to rescue his crew.
And there's something with how he cloaked it in camouflage or cloaked it invisible. Somehow that happened. I don't remember. It was
invisible. We had to hunt it down actually,
the cannon.
Using the cannon and Fee's dowsing.
Yeah.
To figure out where it was, then shoot cannonballs at it to make it appear, which I thought was a very fun concept to get on board. much better than chasing the stupid ghost ship around in Wind Waker, I thought.
But like, here's the whole thing. Like, you know, like we said, me and Red talked many times about the whole outside, and out here for a while, we'll be outside the ship and just being on this whole top part, being outside, and then having all this around you, like just to view the desert, like really in a full circle. Like I said, I know we mention it all the time, but this one was just a really awesome outside area of a dungeon.
It was. And now that we've got the dungeon item very early, by the way, this completes part 1 of the Sandship.